Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Before we begin, please press the like button and the subscribe button so we can keep bringing you these deep dives. All right, so today we're taking a really hard look at something literally all of us use every single day, usually without a second thought: the unseen privacy risks hiding right behind your routine video calls. I mean, think about it for a second. Are your virtual meetings actually hurting you? We completely rely on these platforms to connect, to brainstorm, and, well, just to keep our workflows moving, right? But it's actually kind of wild to think that the exact same tools keeping our remote businesses afloat might be quietly bleeding our sensitive data. We often overlook these risks simply because video calls have become so incredibly routine. We just click the link, start talking, and assume everything is perfectly locked down behind the scenes. Okay, let's dive into this by acknowledging why we use them in the first place. What we usually see is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Video conferencing is absolutely indispensable in the modern workplace. Eliminating the need to physically be in the same room saves massive amounts of time. It cuts travel costs, and it dramatically improves global collaboration. File sharing, virtual whiteboards for team brainstorming, recording, breakout rooms, real-time chat, calendar integrations, it's the whole shebang. It's an incredible suite of productivity tools that gives businesses of all sizes a huge competitive advantage in today's fast-paced world. But here is where we need to shift our focus from the comfort of all this modern tech to the stark reality lurking just below the surface. Every single piece of technology comes with its own unique set of challenges. And for video calls, a massive one is the missing encryption layer. When you're sharing sensitive intellectual property or discussing confidential business strategies, how is that data actually being protected as it travels across the internet? Without the right security layers in place, your data transmitted during calls might easily be intercepted and accessed by unauthorized third parties. So, to protect ourselves, we have to demand the absolute gold standard here: E2E. You probably already know end-to-end encryption is crucial, but just as a quick refresher on why it matters so much in this specific context, it encrypts data directly from your device to the recipient's device. This ensures that absolutely no one in the middle, not even the service provider hosting the video call, can access or decipher the content of your meeting. It's literally a private tunnel between you and the person you're talking to. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between standard protocols and true E2EE. The standard DTLS SRTP WebRTC protocol, yeah, I know, it's a total mouthful. It does encrypt data, sure, but only between your device and the platform's server, like a Zoom or Teams server. The platform itself still has full access to the data. But with end-to-end encryption, it takes things up a massive notch and blocks out the service provider entirely, going strictly device to device. You absolutely must confirm if your preferred platform actually has these E2E security layers actively in place, because without them, your data is fundamentally exposed to the platform itself. Which brings us to the second major hidden risk, a term that became infamous practically overnight: Zoom bombing. We've all heard the horror stories, right? You're in a confidential board meeting and suddenly, boom, internet trolls are in there shouting obscenities. This happens when unsecured, open, or just easily guessable meeting links basically roll out the red carpet, inviting completely unauthorized access right into your private virtual spaces. And the fallout from these uninvited guests? It's chaotic, and it has very real-world consequences for businesses. When an unauthorized user crashes a meeting, you aren't just dealing with a momentary annoying disruption. No, these incidents directly lead to the disclosure of personal details and can cause catastrophic damage to intellectual property. Imagine, just for a second, a competitor or a malicious actor sitting silently on mute in a meeting where you are discussing your most closely guarded business secrets. No way, right? So, how do we actually stop this from happening? Let's pivot to the solution. You can empower your team with immediate actionable steps to secure your meeting links right now. First up, enforce unique session IDs for every single meeting instead of using the same static link over and over again. Second, implement password-protected meetings as a mandatory requirement. By requiring both a unique ID and a password, you put up a solid wall against anyone trying to casually guess their way into your internal discussions. Let's move to and see how this builds, because stopping uninvited guests is really only half the battle. We also have to look at an even larger, way more complex issue: data collection. I want to pose a really direct question to challenge your assumptions about the cloud-based services you rely on. Where is your metadata? Think about it. When you click End Meeting, the data doesn't just evaporate into thin air. You are generating a massive footprint of metadata, and you need to know exactly where it is going. And this brings us right to the heart of data sovereignty. Maintaining control of your data is getting increasingly difficult with our growing reliance on cloud-based services. You really cannot just trust the default settings anymore. Companies have to actively evaluate the provider's policies. Look at these key evaluation questions. Ask yourself, how long does the platform actually keep your sensitive recordings and transcripts? Is your metadata stored in regions that align with your regulatory needs? And are their storage policies truly transparent? Because if your provider stores your metadata in a region with weak privacy laws, your sensitive business information is fundamentally at risk. Now, another critical vulnerability we must address is subpar authentication. And honestly, this is a shockingly common blind spot for a ton of organizations. Attackers are incredibly resourceful. They will actively hunt for and take full advantage of poorly configured settings. They use stolen credentials to log in and literally impersonate legitimate participants. If an attacker's name pops up looking exactly like an employee you trust, they can seamlessly infiltrate the conversation and gather intel without raising a single red flag. It's basically the ultimate digital disguise.
So, the crucial point is, how do we definitively manage participant entry to stop this? Well, here's your checklist. First, enable waiting rooms. This gives the host the power to visually verify and approve everyone before they can even enter. Second, customize user roles and permissions to strictly limit what actions participants can take during the meeting. And third, utilize the ability to lock meetings entirely once all attendees have joined. Once that virtual door is locked, no late, uninvited participants can sneak their way in.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core message for our explainer today. It's simple. Take a proactive approach to your security. By demanding end-to-end encryption, mitigating the serious vulnerabilities surrounding cloud data sovereignty, and really tightening up your authentication, you hit these hidden privacy risks head-on. The great news is we don't have to sacrifice our security just to enjoy the convenience of a modern video call. You can absolutely reap all those massive communication benefits safely. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought. Will you compromise on your next call? Think carefully about your daily habits, guys. It literally only takes one unsecured link, one unencrypted conversation, or one overlooked cloud storage policy to completely expose your establishment's sensitive information. Take the time to rethink your routine, evaluate your platforms, and lock down your communications. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay secure out there, and we will see you next time.